All right, so we are going to go ahead and get started this morning. So all you need for practice is just a comfortable surface to practice on. So that can be a yoga mat, carpet, a rug, anything like that, and a water. Feel free to comment in the chat box throughout the video if I'm not being loud enough or if the music is too loud or anything like that. And we are going to go ahead and get started. So we are starting today in child's pose. So feel free to take any blankets or pillows to make this as comfortable as possible here. And we are going to meet in our child's pose. Either keeping the knees close together or taking them as wide as the mat here, sinking back into the hips. Allowing the forehead to fall heavy towards the mat here. And if we'd like to be a little more supported, we can put a blanket underneath our knees, or we can even put a pillow resting just on top of our thighs. We're going to be here just for a couple minutes, so making it as comfortable as we would like this morning. Just starting to take these few moments to really arrive on our mats. Lengthening each inhale and each exhale. With each inhale, we're feeling the belly expand, pressing against the thighs. With each exhale, feeling the belly release, the belly button draws in towards the spine. Just taking this next 60 minutes for ourselves, for our minds, and for our bodies. Maybe coming up with our intention this morning. This can be letting go of judgment of ourselves or even for others. Be taking things slow, just one moment at a time, instead of rushing through our day. Whatever we feel like we want out of this practice or even out of our day this morning. Taking just these next few breaths together, we'll go ahead and inhale through the nose for 3, 2, 1, and exhaling for 3, 2, and 1. Inhaling for 3, 2, 1. Maybe taking one more sip at the top of air. And exhaling for 3, 2, and 1. From here, we'll go ahead and start to find some movement by gently just rocking the head side to side. Massaging the forehead. back to center. We can go ahead and reach the arms out just a little bit further, feeling a bit of a side stretch here. Maybe the elbows even lift off of the mat, finding a bit of a more active child's pose. And exhaling, relaxing down. From here, we're going to go ahead and walk the fingertips over towards the right corner of the mat. Finding a little bit of a side stretch here, sinking back into the hips. Just breathing into that side body. On our next inhale, slowly walking the fingertips over towards the left corner of the mat. And exhaling, sinking back into the hip. Inhaling, coming back to center here. Exhaling, finding our child's pose just for one more moment. Inhaling, we're going to go ahead and shift the weight forward, coming to a tabletop position here. If we have any discomfort in our knees, we can bring a blanket or a towel underneath the knees just for some more support. Also, I apologize if you hear the construction, it's right outside my window. We're going to go ahead and start to center the left hand in the middle of the mat and go ahead and inhale the right arm up overhead and exhaling, threading the needle, allowing that right shoulder to fall onto the mat here, finding a bit of a twist. On our next inhale, reaching that right arm back up towards the sky. And exhaling, coming back to our tabletop. Just switching sides here, starting to center the right hand in the middle of the mat this time. We'll go ahead and inhale, reaching the left arm up overhead. And exhaling, threading the needle, allowing that left shoulder to rest on the mat here. Finding a bit of a twist. Inhaling, reaching that left arm back up towards the sky. And exhaling, coming to that tabletop. From here, we're going to move into our cat and cow. So on our inhale, we're dropping the belly, lifting the gaze for cow. And exhaling, rounding out through the spine, tucking in the chin for cat. Inhaling for cow. And exhaling for cat. Moving with our own breath, at our own pace here. Eventually meeting at a neutral spine. And from here, we're going to go ahead and extend our right leg out to the side here. So the inner sole of the foot is just resting on the floor. We're going to come into our cat and cows from here as well. So inhaling, dropping the belly, lifting the gaze for cow. And exhaling, rounding out through the spine, tucking in the chin for cat. Inhaling for cow, feeling that stretch along the inner thigh. And exhaling for cat. moving with our own breath here. On our next exhale, slowly bringing that right knee back in towards the center, finding that tabletop position. Just switching sides from here, extending the left leg out to the side so that inner sole of the foot is resting on the mat here. On our inhale, we're dropping the belly, lifting the gaze. And exhaling, rounding out through the spine, tucking in the chin. Inhaling for cow, and exhaling for cat. On our next exhale, bringing that knee back into center, finding our tabletop position here. And when we're ready, we're going to go ahead and tuck the toes and lift the hips, finding our first downward facing dog this morning. Keeping a deep bend in the knees here. If we'd like, we can start to bend one knee at a time, pedaling out the feet, beginning to warm up the legs here. On our next exhale, finding stillness here. On our inhale, we're going to come up high onto the toes. On our exhale, we're going to take a deep bend in the knees, allowing the chest to push towards the thighs here. Inhaling back up onto the toes, straightening the knees. And exhaling, pressing the heels back down towards the mat. Coming through that just one more time, inhaling high up onto the toes, and exhaling, taking a deep bend in the knees, pressing the chest towards the thighs, inhaling back to straighten, and exhaling, heels down towards the mat. On our inhale, we're going to slowly start to roll forward into a plank position, so this can be with the knees up or the knees down. We're going to start by coming up onto the tippy toes and slowly rolling one vertebrae at a time. Feeling that core start to fire here. Again, dropping the knees if we'd like. We're going to hold here just for a few moments, spreading all 10 fingers, really pressing away from the mat to almost inflate the shoulder blades from each other. Taking one more deep inhale, and on our next exhale, pushing back to our downward facing dog. Inhaling, the gaze is forward. We'll travel to the top of our mats. And exhaling, forward fold here. Again, keeping a generous bend in the knees. Allowing the head to hang heavy. If we'd like, we can grab opposite elbows and sway side to side for our ragdoll. And switching the grip of our elbows. Maybe shaking the head no. And nodding the head yes, releasing go of any tension in the neck. And on our next inhale, bringing the fingertips towards the shins here, rolling the shoulder blades back, coming to a halfway lift. or spinal extension here. And exhaling, folding forward. Inhaling, sweeping the arms up towards the sky. And exhaling, hands to heart center. From here, we're going to step to the long edge of our mat here, facing whichever direction. Our feet are going to be more than hip distance apart, and I'd like the toes to be facing the diagonals of our mats here. We're going to be moving into some moonflowers and sunflowers. So this is just building some warmth in the body here. We're going to inhale, reaching the arms up overhead. And exhaling, taking a bend in the knees, squeezing the elbows in at the sides here. Spreading all 20 fingers as wide as we can. This is our moonflower. Inhaling to rise. And exhaling for our moonflower. Inhaling to rise. And exhaling to bend. Inhaling to rise. And this time on our exhale, keeping that bend in the knees, we'll bring the hands all the way around, allowing the pinkies to touch at the bottom. Inhaling to rise. And exhaling, coming all the way around, allowing the pinkies to touch for our sunflower. Inhaling to rise. And from here, we can alternate between the two for our moonflowers and sunflowers. Just moving with our own breath, at our own pace. Maybe even noticing how the body feels this morning. Maybe we feel a little sore. Or maybe we feel energized and ready for the rest of our day. Just taking notes on how we feel. Finding one more of each here. And we're all going to be at the top of our mats here, hands to heart center. Inhaling, reaching the arms up overhead. And exhaling, hinging at the hips, forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift. And exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling, taking a deep bend in the knees here so we can point the hands. And we're just going to step back into that child's pose. Again, keeping the knees together or taking them as wide as the mat, whatever feels best. Sinking back into the hips here. And just coming back to the breath. Noticing the warmth we built in the body so far. Maybe noticing how the breath is different. Maybe it's a little bit faster, shorter. Doing our best just to lengthen our breath. Reminding ourselves at any point in our practice this morning, we can come back to our child's pose. This is a safe spot just to reconnect with the breath. Next, we're going to be moving into our sun salutations. So this is one breath per movement here, really allowing our breath to guide our movement. Feel free to follow along with me the whole time, or if you'd like to, you can go at your own pace once you get the flow. So on our next inhale, we're going to go ahead and start to shift the weight forward, coming into a kneeling plank here. The shoulders are over the wrists, the spine is long, making any adjustments that you need. And on our exhale, hugging the elbows in at the sides, slowly coming all the way down onto our bellies. Inhaling, opening up the heart. We're pulling back on the hands and pressing in through the tops of the feet for baby cobra. And exhaling, pushing back to our child's pose. Inhaling, shifting the weight forward, coming to that kneeling plank. And exhaling, squeezing the elbows at the sides all the way down. Inhaling, opening up the heart, pulling back on the hands for our baby cobra. And on our exhale, tucking the toes and lifting the hips for our downward facing dog. Inhaling, the gaze is forward. We'll travel to the top of our mats. And exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift. And exhaling, fold. Inhaling, sweeping the arms up. And exhaling, hands to heart center. Inhaling, reaching up. And exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling, we're going to go ahead and take a deep bend in the knees, planting the hands back, stepping our left foot back, finding a low lunge here, making sure that front knee is over the ankle. And on our exhale, stepping the right foot back, finding our downward facing dog. Inhaling, shifting the weight forward, coming to either a plank or a kneeling plank. And exhaling, elbows at the sides, all the way onto the bellies. Inhaling, opening up the heart, pressing in through the tops of the feet for baby cobra. And exhaling, pushing back to downward facing dog. Inhaling, the gaze is forward. We'll travel to the top of the mat. And exhaling, fold. Inhaling, halfway lift. And exhaling, fold. Inhaling, reaching the arms up overhead. And exhaling, hands to heart center. Inhaling, reaching the arms up. And exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling, taking that deep bend in the knees to plant the hands. We'll step the right foot back this time, finding a low lunge. And exhaling, the left foot back, finding our downward facing dog. Inhaling, shifting the weight forward, finding our high plank or kneeling plank. And exhaling, chaturanga, hugging the elbows and at the sides. Inhaling for baby cobra. Really trying to squeeze the elbows together from behind, working the back body. And on our exhale, pushing back to our downward facing dog. We're going to move through our sun salutations 2 more times. Like I mentioned before, feel free to go at your own pace with your own breath if you'd like. Treating this almost as a moving meditation. Inhaling, the gaze is forward, traveling to the top of the mat. And exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift. And exhaling, fold. Inhaling, reaching the arms up overhead. And exhaling, hands to heart center. Inhaling to rise. And exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling, bending the knees to plant the hands, stepping the left foot back for our low lunge. And exhaling the right foot back for downward facing dog. Inhaling, shifting forward to high plank or kneeling plank. And exhaling, chaturanga. Inhaling for baby cobra. And exhaling, pushing back to downward facing dog. Inhaling, the gaze is forward. We'll travel to the top of the mat. And exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift. And exhaling, fold. Inhaling, sweeping the arms up. And exhaling, hands to heart center. Inhaling, reaching up. And exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling, bending the knees to plant the hands, stepping the right foot back for our low lunge. And exhaling the left foot back, finding our downward facing dog. Inhaling, shifting the weight forward to high plank or kneeling plank. And exhaling, chaturanga. Meeting back in our downward facing dog here. Just taking 2 full breaths here. Checking in with how we're feeling. Coming back to the breath, recentering ourselves. From our downward facing dog, we're going to go ahead and start to step the right foot in between the hands, finding a bit of a low lunge. If we find our foot doesn't completely make it, we can go ahead and just use our hands to help us. And we're going to go ahead and drop that back knee and untuck the toes. And just come in here, finding that stretch for that back leg, the back quad here. Again, if there's any discomfort in that back knee, feel free to go ahead and use a blanket. And just fold it underneath the knees here for some more support. Like so. And from here, we can go ahead and tuck the back toes, and we'll slowly start to walk the hands back, straightening that front leg here. Flexing the right toes towards the face. Also too, if you'd like, if you have any sort of blocks, yoga blocks that look like this, or you can even use a water bottle. You can rest the hands on them like so. Prioritizing comfort this morning and what our body needs. Inhaling slowly, bending in through that right knee. And on our exhale, we're going to go ahead and step that right leg back. We're going to come into a kneeling plank here. And exhaling, squeezing the elbows in at the sides, coming all the way onto the belly. Inhaling, opening up the heart for baby cobra, pressing in through the tops of the feet. And exhaling, pushing back to our downward facing dog. And just switching sides from here. On our inhale, we'll go ahead and step the left foot through, placing it in between the hands for our low lunge. Again, feel free to use the hands if we need, if it doesn't quite reach. And dropping that back knee, untucking the toes here. Just coming into that stretch, having the same options as before. You can have a blanket underneath the knee. If you have yoga blocks, you can use a block to come up. Or a water bottle, books, an empty coffee can. Anything like that will work. Just to bring the floor a little closer to us. On our next inhale, tucking the back toes, we'll slowly start to straighten that front leg, flexing the left toes towards the face here. Just coming back to the breath. Inhaling, slowly bending in through that left knee. And from here, go ahead and plant the hands and just step that left leg back into our kneeling plank here. Exhaling, squeezing the elbows in at the sides, coming all the way onto the belly for chaturanga. Flipping the toes, inhaling for baby cobra. And exhaling, pressing back to our downward facing dog here. We go ahead and move that blanket out of the way if you decided to get one out. And on our next inhale, we'll go ahead and start to center the left foot in the middle of the mat. And the inhale, reaching the right leg up towards the sky, finding our three-legged dog. You want to keep that left standing leg just a little bit bent here. We can keep the top foot pointed or flexed. Keeping that right hip pointed towards the mat here, keeping the hips nice and squared. And on our next inhale, we're going to slowly start to bring the knee towards the nose, shifting into that plank position. Really feeling the core engage here, pressing away from the floor. And exhaling, stepping that right foot through. Again, using our hands if we need, finding that low lunge. And from here, we're going to spin the back foot down so that it's parallel with the back edge of our mat. And inhale, windmilling the arms up. And exhaling, sinking into our warrior two, our first one of the class. I'm going to turn around so that you can see me a little bit better. So our gaze is through our front middle finger here. We should be able to look down and see our big toe just on the inside of our knee here. Just coming back to the breath. On our next inhale, we'll go ahead and shift the weight forward, flipping that front palm. And exhaling to reverse our warrior. Back hand rests on the top of the thigh. The right arm reaches towards the sky and the gaze follows. Keeping that bend in that front knee. Inhaling, lifting through that top arm. And exhaling, bringing our right elbow to knee. The left arm reaches up towards the sky for a side angle. We're rolling that left rib cage back here. The gaze is up towards the sky. Playing with how much weight we'd like in this bottom elbow to activate the core a little bit more. And on our next inhale, go ahead and hug our left bicep to ear. Feeling one long line of energy from the fingertips all the way down through the foot. And inhaling, lifting with that left arm, and exhaling into our warrior two. From here, we're going to go ahead and bring our hands to our hips, straightening that front leg, and pointing both toes towards the corner of our mat again. We can shorten our stance if we'd like. We're going to have the toes facing the diagonals of the mat again here. We're going to come to a goddess pose. So inhaling, reaching the arms up. It's very similar to our moonflower. And exhaling, taking a deep bend in the knees, hugging the elbows in at the sides here. We can stay here if we'd like and really just find that strength and balance of stability and staying still. If we'd like to find a little bit extra core here, build some more heat, we do not have to, but you can feel free to join me. We're going to bring the fingertips just to the back of the head here, elbows out to the side. We're going to slowly bring our right elbow towards the right knee here. It does not have to touch. Mine is not going to touch. Inhaling back to center. And exhaling left elbow to left knee. Inhaling to center. Really coming to the breath here and exhaling to the right. Inhaling to the center and exhaling towards the left. I'm sure you all are doing great. Inhaling to the center. Just one more on each side. I know we're feeling that warmth go to the legs. Exhaling to the right. Inhaling to the center. And exhaling to the left. Inhaling to center. And from here, we'll go ahead and straighten our legs. That feels amazing. We can wiggle our legs out a little bit if we need to here. We're gonna go ahead and point those front toes and spin that back foot so that we're in our warrior two again, just for one moment. Taking a bend in that front knee, coming back to the breath. Taking a deep inhale, lengthening through the spine. And exhaling, windmilling the arms down, framing that front foot here for our low lunge. And exhaling, stepping that right foot back for our downward facing dog. We're gonna have the next few moments for ourselves here so we can find stillness in our downward facing dog. We can find an optional chaturanga, or we can all meet in our child's pose. We're all gonna end up in our child's pose. Take a sip of water, coming back to the breath. Maybe we can hear our heart beating a little bit. Taking our time, there's no rush. We're all gonna meet back in our downward facing dog. From here, starting to switch sides, we'll center the right foot in the middle of the mat this time. And inhaling, reaching the left leg up for three-legged dog. Pointed or flexed, keeping those bend in that standing knee. And on our next inhale, stepping that left foot through, placing it in between the hands for our low lunge. Just taking a moment here, making sure that front knee is directly over the ankle. We'll go ahead and spin that back foot down so it's parallel with the back edge of our mat. And inhaling, windmilling the arms up. And exhaling, sinking into that knee for a warrior two on this side. The gaze is through the front middle finger. Just coming back to the breath here. From here, I'd like us to just lift the corners of our mouth, finding a bit of a smile. Maybe I tricked you. Our first smile of the morning, maybe. Hopefully not our last of the day. It's really important just to smile on our challenging parts of class or our peak of class, just to remind ourselves that we're doing an amazing job. From here, we're gonna go ahead and inhale, shifting the weight forward, flipping that front arm, and exhaling, reversing our warrior, keeping that bend in that front knee. The left arm reaches up. Inhaling, lifting with that top arm, and exhaling, left elbow to left knee. The right arm reaches up for our side angle. Again, we're rolling that right rib cage back here. The gaze is up towards the sky if it feels good on the neck, or it can be down towards the floor. And inhaling our right bicep to ear. Exhaling to hold. Inhaling, lifting that left arm up. We're gonna go ahead and exhale, bringing our hands to our hips, pointing both toes towards the long edge of our mat. Do not worry, we're coming into a bit of a stretch here. So both toes facing the long edge of our mat this time, a little wider than hip distance. We'll go ahead and inhale, reaching the arms up overhead. And exhaling, hinging at the hips, folding forward here. In our straddle, allowing the head to hang heavy. And I'm going to give these next few moments for ourselves, finding whatever feels good. If we'd like to find some movement, we can bend one knee at a time here. If that feels nice. You can maybe even find a side stretch and walk the fingertips over towards the right toes. Walking them over to the left toes. Coming back to center, finding whatever feels good. If we'd like, we can just grab opposite elbows. Shaking out the head again, releasing go any tension in the neck. Taking one more full breath here. On our next inhale, bringing the hands to the hips, taking a really deep bend in the knees, and we're slowly gonna roll up one vertebrae at a time from here. And taking a deep breath. Once you get up to the top, if we're feeling lightheaded at all, feel free to just take a seat, drink some water, take that time for yourself. From here, we're gonna go ahead and step to the top of our mats here, bringing our hands to heart center. We're going to come into our balancing pose this morning. It's going to be a modified Utthaya Hasta Padangusthasana. Yes, I had to double check the pronunciation of that this morning, and I promise it is not too hard. So we're going to bring our hands to heart center. We're going to start to ground at all four corners of the left foot into the mat here. And on our inhale, we're going to start to lift that right knee up towards the sky. We're going to wrap our hands around that knee here. Keeping that foot flexed so it's nice and active. And just finding our balance here. We want to keep a micro bend in that standing leg, and we're not completely locking out. Allowing the shoulders to relax and draw down and away from the ears. And from here, keeping the right hand on the knee, we're going to bring our left hand just resting on the hip here. And once we feel stable, we can slowly start to bring that right knee out towards the side here. Maybe feeling a little bit off balance. If we fall out, that's okay. We just get right back in. And we can go ahead and extend that left arm out to the side, using it as a counterbalance here. Feeling that core start to activate. And if this is as far out as we can go, that is perfectly fine. Really just working on that balance here and also strengthening that standing leg. If we'd like an extra challenge, we can maybe gaze down the left arm. Taking 2 more full breaths here. Inhaling slowly, coming back to center. Exhaling to release. Shaking out the arms and the feet. Great job, everybody. I'm sure you did amazing. Starting to switch sides, we can bring our hands to heart center, grounding all 4 corners of the right foot into the mat this time. And on our inhale, we can start to drive that left knee up towards the sky, wrapping the hands around it. I already fell out, that's totally fine. Finding our balance here, keeping that left foot flexed so it's nice and active. From here, keeping the left hand on the knee, we can bring the right hand out to the hip. And just finding that same pose as the other side, we can slowly start to bring that left knee out to the side, wherever comfortable here. If we feel a little off balance, we can extend that right arm, using it as a counter. If you'd like that extra challenge, we can try and gaze down the right hand. Really lengthening through the spine, engaging the core here. It always helps to find something stable in the room to focus on. Or I've also heard that if you bring your attention to your belly button, you'll feel more stable. Whatever works. Taking one more full deep breath in. And on our inhale, slowly coming back to center. And exhaling, releasing down. Shaking out the arms and the legs. Great job, you guys. I'm sure you did great. We'll go ahead and inhale, reaching both arms up towards the sky. And exhaling, hinging at the hips, forward fold, moving into our cool down here. Allowing the head to hang heavy. We're going to come into our gorilla pose, which is a nice forward fold stretch. So for this, we're going to take a deep bend in the knees so that our chest rests directly on top of the thighs here. So maybe your knees aren't that bent, or maybe they're very bent. Just finding that here. And from here, we're going to go ahead and bring the hands underneath the feet, like so, palms up. Allowing the head to hang heavy here. We can even wiggle the toes to massage the wrist creases, which feels amazing. Shaking the head out. And releasing the hands here. Keeping that bend in the knees, we can go ahead and just step straight back into our last downward facing dog of the class. Maybe just taking a moment to notice how different this one feels compared to the very first one we did this morning. And from here, we're going to go ahead and drop the knees, untuck the toes, and just come all the way onto our bellies. From here, we're going to come into our locust pose. Keeping the hands right by the chest here, the elbows are up towards the sky, squeeze together. We're going to take a deep exhale together. And inhaling, lifting up the heart, pulling back on those hands here. If we'd like, we can maybe even try and lift the feet. Really feeling that whole back body working. And exhaling, releasing down, arms at the sides, allowing the left cheek to rest on the mat. Inhaling, coming back to center. We can bring the hands back by the chest, or if we'd like, we can have them at our sides, palms down. Again, taking a deep exhale together. And inhaling, lifting through the heart, through the feet, lifting up through the hands, palms down, really feeling that whole back body working, squeezing the shoulder blades together, pointing the toes, and keeping the feet together here, the legs glued. And exhaling, releasing down, arms at the sides, allowing our right cheek to rest on the mat this time. Inhaling, slowly coming back to center, coming into our last one. Palms are facing down at our sides here. The legs are glued together, taking a deep exhale. And inhaling, lifting up through the hands, the heart, the feet, finding our locust pose. Maybe even finding just a tiny bit more height here. And exhaling, releasing down. Planting the hands here, we'll go ahead and push back into our child's pose. Feeling that counter stretch in the low back. And on our inhale, we'll slowly start to walk the hands towards the knees here. And sitting to one side, swinging the legs around. We can come towards the top of our mats. We're going to come into a seated forward fold. So having the legs straight out in front of us here. If we'd like, sometimes it's really nice to elevate the hips so you can sit on a blanket or a pillow. And from here, we're going to root through the sit bones here, allowing the spine to grow tall. And our inhale. And exhaling, leading with the chest, slowly folding forward here. Stopping wherever comfortable. If you'd like, we can keep the spine long here. If we'd like to round out, we can slowly start to allow the head to fall heavy, tucking the chin in, allowing that upper back to round down. Doing our best to keep the feet active. On our next inhale, slowly walking the hands up the legs. You can bring the soles of the feet onto the mat here. Bringing the hands underneath the thighs. If we'd like a little bit more core, we can reach them out in front of us, palms up. Taking a deep inhale together. And on our exhale, slowly rolling back, one vertebrae at a time. Melting onto the mat, we'll inhale both knees into the chest here. We can start to draw circles with the knees, massaging the lower back. And switching directions. You can go ahead and inhale the right knee into the chest, allowing the left leg to fall long. Taking it out towards the right, hugging it into the armpit here. And on our next exhale, taking the knee across the body, finding a twist. The arms come out to a T, the gaze is over the right shoulder. Inhaling, slowly coming back to center, hugging that right knee in one more time. Exhaling, switching sides, extending the right leg, inhaling the left knee into the chest. From here, taking that knee out to the left, hugging it into the armpit almost, feeling that stretch in the inner thigh. And on our next exhale, taking it across the body, finding that same twist. The arms come out to a T, the gaze is over the left shoulder. Inhaling, slowly coming back to center. Hugging both knees into the chest this time. If you'd like, we can stay here on our knees to chest. If you'd like a little bit of a hip opener, we can take the knees out wide, allowing the soles of the feet to press up to the sky. The hands can come underneath the thighs or reach to the outer edges of the feet here. This is called our happy baby. You can rock side to side, massaging along the long edge of the spine. Just opening up the hips here. We carry a lot of stress and tension and emotions in our hips. So it's really nice to release that, especially in the morning. Wherever we're at, we're gonna allow the soles of the feet to still press up to the sky. The hands will follow. We want the hips to be heavy on the mat here and the shoulders to be heavy on the mat. This is called our dead bug pose. It's really great for circulation. If you'd like, we can even wiggle the legs and the arms. It's a good part about practicing at home by ourselves, is nobody has to see how silly we may look. And from our dead bug, we'll go ahead and inhale, reaching the arms up overhead, allowing the legs to fall long, finding our good morning stretch, pointing the toes, really reaching through, finding length along the entire body. And exhaling, bringing the hands at the sides, taking the feet as wide as the mat, taking up as much space as we need. Making any adjustments to make ourselves feel comfortable. If we have a pillow, we can prop it underneath the knees, put a blanket over ourselves, under the head. Taking whatever we need for these next few moments in our final relaxation or Shavasana pose. Just allowing the body to fully settle here. Feeling the breath flowing in and out of the body. Coming to its own natural rhythm. Now as we move more deeply inward, just beginning to let go of the noises around us, within our space, outside maybe even within my space. Just bringing our full attention to what's on our mat, within the four corners or four walls. Relaxing the tension in the space between the eyebrows, the jaw, the shoulders, the hips, all the way down to the feet. From here, we can start to bring our attention to our surroundings, taking a deep breath in, inviting energy into the rest of our day, and exhaling, releasing any tension or stress we're carrying with us. We can start to wiggle the toes and wiggle the fingers, maybe even rocking the head side to side, inviting those small movements back into the body. If you'd like, if you have the time, I invite you to stay in Shavasana for 5 to 10 minutes. Just bringing that full attention to the breath, appreciating that stillness. If we're ready to come out, we can inhale, one arm up overhead, and slowly roll over to that side, using that arm as a pillow. From here, using that top hand, we can go ahead and press ourselves up to a comfortable seated position here. Bringing our hands to heart center, just taking one more moment to thank ourselves for coming to our mats for our practice this morning and taking the time to honor our bodies for all it's allowed us to do throughout this practice. The light within me honors the light within each of you. Namaste. Thank you all so much for coming to my 60-minute morning yoga class. Again, my name is Nikki. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Please feel free to leave any feedback or comments in the chat. Yeah, I hope you guys have a lovely rest of your day. Thank you so much.